Dory 1, this is Fire Team Delta. Dad's coming home.
Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Cloy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast. Welcome back to Fatherhood Friday, guys. This is your official welcome to Friday. It has been a crazy week here in the Cloy household. I am actually recording this on Thursday night, right the day before getting ready to release. That's not uncommon here on Military Veteran Dad, but I've been pretty proud of myself because I've been a few days ahead. But this week, it was just a little bit too much. But as always, that pressure has created growth, has created opportunity for me to see life in a different way. And just like my time during virtual learning, I was able to redesign my life, and I've already got ideas for next week. So, as always, that pressure will create growth. Now on to today's topic. I want to bring an idea that came to me from some training that I've been doing, and I'm going to become a certified trainer within this program called Scream-Free Parenting. Now, that is not at the screen of an iPad. That is scream as in yelling parenting. Now, that sounds kind of like a bold idea, scream-free parenting. It sounds almost mythical, almost sounds like, wow, unicorns exist in that world, because if you're like my household, screaming is something that I felt almost instinctive sometimes, that I had no other choice, that there was just times where screaming was what I needed to do. Like, I just felt like that was what parenting looked like in that moment. There's a book called Scream-Free Parenting, which is what got me brought into this program, and this training is all about this big idea. And I want to plant this big idea and challenge. It won't take long to plant this big idea, because I want to leave you with thinking about it, because from this moment where you think about it, your role in your kids' lives will never be the same after hearing this big idea. And it's not my idea. Like I said, the author, Hal Runkle, is the one that brought this idea to the universe, and he teaches it. He has the book. He has many other things that he's working on. But this idea of we are not raising kids. Let me say that again. We are not raising kids. And the question comes in twofold. Are we raising kids, or are we raising adults? And he uses some really funny analogies to describe this, that a goat farmer doesn't say he's raising kids, and actually young goats are called kids. So the analogy really works. He doesn't say I'm raising kids as the idea of goats. No, he says he's raising goats. He talks about the finished product of what he's raising. And you can use that for any other type of farmer. We talk about the context of what we're actually finishing. If you're a corn farmer, you don't talk about it when it's a seed. You talk about it as a stalk. But yet for some reason within parenting, we talk about it as the younger version. We're raising kids. Do you really want kids later in life? Most people would say, no, I want them to be adults. I want them to leave my house and go out into the world and do bigger things and figure out how they can go out and change the world. Kids probably can't do that. Kids rebound the basement. They rebound back to the Xbox maybe that feels comfortable. Those kinds of people aren't the people you want in life. So why do we talk about raising kids when we really want raising adults? It was a really big, profound idea, and I've heard it said a couple different times throughout my life, but something about the way that it was aligned and the way that it was sent with this message of scream-free parenting that I'll go ahead and unpack in some future episodes. But right now, I want to leave you just with this idea. Are you raising kids or raising adults? Because here's the epiphany when you think of this dichotomy of which one you're actually doing. The way you show up, the choices that you make to your kids are completely different depending on how you answer that. If you are raising kids, you're probably always going to keep them safe. And a kid that feels safe doesn't ever really venture out to find out what's out there, because that's definitely unsafe. But if you're raising adults, don't you expose them to unsafe environments where they're not going to hurt themselves, but they're definitely going to grow up a little bit. And they're going to find out what they're capable of. And they're going to find out that came from the inside. And maybe, if we're just lucky, they'll figure out how they can do more of that and find what they have on the inside can be on the outside, and they can do more with nothing more than their own decision making. If you're raising kids, you're probably thinking maybe a 2-year-old that really can barely speak English, can barely communicate actually what they need, and they're generally emotionally unbalanced people because they're either happy when you're maybe playing, and then 10 seconds later, they can be just emotionally just all over the place. A 2-year-old can go both ways very quickly. Now, we can think of adults that probably do that, and you're like, man, that guy's acting like a 2-year-old. Wow. As I say that, isn't that kind of mean that he was raised as a kid versus an adult? Yeah, that might just be true. And so, as parents, we have to really think about this idea. Are we raising kids, or are we raising adults? Both can be true. Both require a different way of approaching it. But as Stephen Covey says, we have to start with the end in mind. What do we want to have at the end? Do we want people that go off in the world and leave, and hopefully we can then go on vacations and have our life back with our wife, and we can go back to maybe what normal looked like before having kids? Or do we kind of want this routine to go on forever? There was a previous episode with Rod Olson. He brought this idea that 80% of parents never move out of the coaching phase of parenting, meaning that you are always there trying to teach them everything they need to know. But if you're always trying to teach them everything they need to know, they'll never figure out how to do it on their own. And isn't that what we want? We want to move into, as he called it, the counselor phase, and then the consultant phase, and then the colleague phase, where you're both kind of parents, and you're like, now you know what I'm talking about because your kids grew up, they got married, they had kids, and now you're comparing the chaos that is parenting, and you're like, yeah, this is what I was talking about all those different times. Or do you want to continue to have to parent your kids as they parent their kids? I'm sure that you can think of a few examples in your life, of people in your life maybe, where parents, and maybe it's a mother-in-law or a father-in-law, where they're still parenting you, and they're still parenting and overriding your choices because they don't trust you to raise your own kids. Is that raising kids, or is that raising adults? These are the questions I want you to ask after hearing this question. Are we raising kids, or are we raising adults? And with that, I'm signing off. I'll talk to you guys again on Monday.